In this demo, we're going to use audio to drive the animation in After Effects. So I've set up my project that I have an audio file that I've added to my timeline. I have some basic artwork, and I'm going to take this photo with the face, and that's what I will animate. To begin the process, it doesn't matter which layer we click on, but I feel better clicking on the audio layer. And if I right-click, I will see I have an option under Keyframe Assistant to convert my audio to keyframes. When I do that, it's going to add a new layer called Audio Amplitude. And if I open up this layer and look at it, I will see I have keyframes for my left and right channel, or for both channels of my audio. And if I want to see those keyframes, I can click on the graph editor and click on a channel, and we'll see how those keyframes are animating. So that shows me the amplitude. So the keyframes are based on the amplitude data for the audio. And if I listen to it, we can see each time that the audio peaks, we are getting movement in those keyframes. So that is corresponding. If I look at my waveform for the audio, I will see that inside the waveform, it has a similar visual to what we see in the audio amplitude keyframe layer. Now what I need to do is to open up one of my audio layers, and I will see this is where the keyframes are being stored for that. I can see the stopwatch. Stopwatches always indicate that we have keyframes going on. Now I'm going to go on to the face layer, and on the face layer I can open up and decide what property I want to transform with. So I could use position, scale, or rotation. Those are the easiest ones. I could also use opacity. So any of the standard transform operations that are present, I can now animate those. Now to animate one of these properties using the audio amplitude keyframe data, what we have to do is create what's called an After Effects expression. So there's a lot of information you can find online about using expressions inside of After Effects. For the first demonstration here, I'm going to work with scale. So if I just go to scale normally, we see that the keyframe information is set up, or the scale information is set up, and it's highlighted in blue. To activate expressions, what I do is I hold down the Alt or Option key and click on the stopwatch for the property that I want to use an expression with. And when I do that, we will notice how the other properties are still blue, but the keyframe one has turned red, and now it says expression scale. And now I can see that there's some information there. We're not even going to have to look at that. We'll change that in a moment. And what we now need to do is we need to connect scale to the keyframe data that is in the audio keyframes. And to do that, I will use my pick whip tool, and I will click on that, and we'll see how I drag, and it needs to find something that it can work with. And when it does, it highlights it or selects it. And now notice that the expression where it says transform scale is going to change the moment I do this. And now it changed, and it says temp equals this comp layer audio amplitude effect left channel slider temp. So what it's going to do is it's going to scale it horizontally and vertically based on the audio amplitude. So now if I drag this, I will see it's doing that. But the problem I'm running into as I do this is if I deselect it, you will see that it's kind of small. So what I may need to do, depending on the audio I am working with, I need to multiply it. So I use the star sign, and we'll multiply it by a factor of 10. Now let's see how that looks. Okay, that's a little bit better. Notice when the audio disappears or is at very low volume, it goes away. So this particular audio track, because it has moments of near silence and then moments that are really loud, we get a pretty dramatic range going on with this. And if I check out the animation, so we're able to use the audio information to animate a property. Now if I were to go and find a different property, like let's say I wanted to do rotation, I can repeat the same process. Hold down Alt or Option, click on the stopwatch, it turns red, and then I will grab the pick width for that, drag it up to the audio that I wish to work with. Now if I wanted to not use left channel but instead use right channel, could do that as well, but in this instance it's pretty symmetrical. And now if I animate it, we'll see that the animation is also moving. Now if we go into scale, and if I alt click on it, it goes away, so it's no longer changing scale, and now I can see the rotation happening with it. So when I play, and in the beginning, while it's caching the audio, you can notice how it slows down and isn't able to play it back at real-time speed until it's cached it. The green line appears, and now it can hear it playing and seeing it animate with it. So that is the process to connect our audio amplitude, turning it into keyframe data, and then using that data to drive the animation in our project.